was just talking to a dear friend, and she made a reference to old habits and how it's like a rut in the road, and and I thought how what we need to do is, instead of just covering up those ruts, to make a new path for ourselves, to find new ways, to make life work for ourselves, instead of thinking that there are these ruts that we fall into. Start envisioning them filling up, and fill them with something beautiful, not just with dirt. Fill them with gold. And we were talking about abundance, and the sense of lack, or the lack of something, instead of the gratitude for all that we do have. And so there are old ways of thinking that we can revisit and make more clear for ourselves. So when we find ourselves falling into an old habit of behavior, an old habit of thinking, an old uh, thought that doesn't work for us anymore, you can actually envision that as this road surface that we're traveling, our own journey. And in that road surface, of course, there are ruts, and there are potholes and things like that. But and that's all part of life. So it's not all supposed to be beautiful and smooth and lovely. It's not. We learn from all those trips and falls and potholes. We learn from those obstacles. So we need them in our lives. And when we want to find a new way to think or a new way to behave, it might be a fun idea, and that's what we were talking about, is to envision, instead of filling in those old ruts in a road, like a dirt road, fill it in beautifully with something golden, something of value. Fill yourself in with something of value, so that you can appreciate what once was, and that now is no longer needed, and leave it vacant. Leaving it vacant is a pothole. So instead of leaving it vacant, fill it in. Fill it in. Fill it in with gold. Fill it in with loveliness. Fill it in with a beautiful image, so that you're not doing the same thing over and over again that doesn't work for yourself. Yeah. And there's a Japanese term for when pottery cracks or breaks, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't mispronounce it. And it's called Kintsugi. Hopefully I'm not massacring that. Kintsugi. And the idea is, when a bowl is broken, or a piece of ceramics has a crack in it, to embellish that crack, because that's what makes it unique and beautiful. Embellish it with a detail, and they fill it in with gold or ebony if it's a wooden thing. Sometimes I use ebony ties to put together two pieces of wood deliberately. It's like, yes, this is what happens in life. This is what happens in nature. And we're not supposed to be all smoothed out and varnished and gorgeous. We're not. Our imperfect selves are perfect enough. And embellish what isn't perfect. Embellish it. And make those things that make us who we are exaggerated. Or not exaggerated, but emphasized, not exaggerated. Emphasize who we are by embracing those holes, those cracks, all those imperfections. Embrace your imperfection. Make them beautiful by just embracing them.